bit different this evening. We're going to be starting out with the public hearing. So I would like to call that public hearing to order at this time. This is a hearing requesting voluntary annexation and zoning of the June Raymer property at 17923 Stewart Drive. So I'll open the meeting, and if anyone would like to make any comments, we ask that you go to the podium, state your name, and make your statements.
Hi, I'm Susan Bledsoe, and I am the daughter of Jacqueline Raymer that lives there and June Raymer that owns it, and this is June. And we are requesting annexation into the city of Boonville. This is an issue involving the sewer system on that property. It was requested several years ago by my father. We're back here re-requesting it. We have tried several systems with the sewer system there. We are having an issue now, and we are wanting to come into the city system as a permanent solution. I guess a few years ago, the Lloyd's property was annexed in, and for some reason the Raymer property was not. So we're back with this request. Is there any questions?
I do, just for my own clarification. I know Jackie, but the property is owned by June,
Yes,
and
that's
you are
me.
June.
I am
So
June.
who lives in the house at this time?
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline
My
does.
mother-in-law.
Okay. I was a little confused with that.
Yes. My brother actually in June purchased the property when my parents moved in many years ago. My brother has been deceased for 2 years, and therefore the property obviously is June's now.
Okay. I was just confused on the names, so thank you.
June, before you sit down, I just had one question.
Sure.
You are the sole owner of that property. It does not belong to a trust or has not passed to anybody else.
That is correct.
Because the property apparently was still, the estate was still in the court system. All those issues have been resolved.
Yes,
And you
they
are
have.
the sole owner of that property.
Correct.
Thank you.
I have a question, and this may be, but is that if the city annexes it, does the city will be incur costs?
My understanding, and ML might be able to answer this one a little bit better, but when they annexed the Lloyds, it just so happened my dad was home when they were doing the line work and managed to get them to bring the line right up to the city line. The property line. So I don't believe that there's going to be any additional expense on the city's part. It is only going to be on our part bringing the line from the septic system into your line that's already there.
Vanessa, I think we'll be getting more information in the main meeting on that, some of the details, I believe, so,
I saw the map.
if you want it. Any other comments from you ladies?
No?
Any questions for them?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the public regarding this public hearing? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing at this time. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the council and ask that you rise, and Michael Stock will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lord, for letting us all come tonight. The things that we will have to discuss, look over all of us, also on the way home. Amen.
Thank you, Michael. We do ask that anyone who has a cell phone, if you would please put it on mute, I would appreciate it. Roll call.
Stock,
Yes.
Evans. Here. Meadows. Here. Beach,
Here.
Hurt,
Here.
Livingston,
Here.
Ayers. Here. Dorman.
Here.
Thank you very much. Hearing of citizens' comments. This is the time when people can come and address the council. On the docket, you will see Dan Buckley is here. He's the general manager of Advanced Disposal. He's going to be presenting his annual report and also introducing Mr. Justin Hicks. So, Dan, if you want to come ahead and do your report.
Thanks for having me. This is the 2014 annual performance review. I believe last year I was here a little earlier, but we've had some management changes twice this year down here. Justin Hicks is our new ops manager for the Boonville area. Justin comes with 11 years of trash experience, Wyoming, Oklahoma, Missouri, and back to Missouri. So far so good from what I can see. I did include on the third page, or the third page is a key personnel. And yes, everybody's cell phones are on there. So if you have any issues at all, and that's how you can get a hold of me or get a hold of Justin. Caitlin Clark is our newest dispatcher. So she'll be able to answer the phones at the local level. And of course, Cassie, and everybody knows Amber Burnham is still my administrative assistant as far as all the cities go. Basically, all I did for the performance review was look at the annual tonnage as I have year over year. It tends to fall year over year. In fact, I believe 2011 we were at 24,000 tons. We dropped to 22.5 in 2012, and as you see, if everything keeps going the way it's going right now, we're going to be just under 18,000 at the end of this year. A lot of that is some of the local businesses that closed that we did a lot of work with. Marshall, Thompson Brothers built a transfer station in Marshall. There was a time when we brought all the tonnage from Marshall back here, Conagra being one of the biggest compactors up there, so I was pulling that one a couple times a week for about 40 tons a week, so we lost that tonnage as well. I think it's going to Kansas City. Some of the bigger waste managements and republics are willing to do it cheaper just to get that tonnage over there, so. For our purposes, one of the reasons I hired Justin was not only to get our services back in line, but to grow our business around here, so. We'll be seeing some new faces as far as our sales group goes as well, getting a little help on that end. But a lot of them is third party, keeps reaching out. We've got a new third party that came from west of Slater called RTS, Rural Trash Services. They took Slater and they've, I think Stark was relieved from Glasgow, and they have Glasgow as well, so AAA is still around. T-Mac's starting to come a little further west, so a lot of competition out there. But you can clearly see what the numbers are. Obviously, the tonnage going down affects royalty payments, but on the flip side, revenue retention grows with the contract as the contract matures, so that's a good story to tell. Obviously, our average units per month has gone up, about 110 homes. The annexations have really helped for us as well, so it has made the routes a little bigger, so I'm going to ask the council for a blessing on that. But we write down every missed pickup call that we get, and we had 134 in just Boonville alone in 2014. But when I look at the fact that we picked up almost 140,000 customers, it's a good number, 0.1%. But I know we can do a lot better. On the safety side, I'm not going to read this word for word, but we had a much improved safety year in 2014. 2015, not so much, more that we're reporting every little thing now. Just that Advanced Disposal believes very strongly that if you take a look at even the little ones, maybe you can prevent larger ones. So nothing in this area in Boonville to speak of this year, and I'm happy to report that. We continue to really press on the guys. First thing every morning, we have safety tailgate meetings. We have a safety meeting once a week, and it's a big focal point for Advanced. We've gotten to the point now, if you have a major ticket in 5 years, you don't drive for us. And that's it's made it tough getting personnel, but we made a big push this year on hiring locally. So I believe I have 4 drivers on my payroll right now that live right here in Boonville. And did we just hire another one from Boonville? Okay. So that's the big thing for me, has been personnel, and I have to apologize. We have fallen on our faces more than once this year. I hope that's behind us. One of the things I was going to ask the council is to consider today, there's a map on the final page. The Tuesday and the Thursday routes are very large. In fact, we're pushing 12 hours on Thursday. So we have an idea to take the Tuesday route from Grace Lane or Smith Street and take everything south and move it from Tuesday to Friday. It's about 2 hours. And with Thursday, take Logan's Lake Road and everything south and everything off Logan's Lake Road. That is on Thursday, and push it to Friday. What it does is it gives us about 2 hours of relief on each day. These are the areas, the Thursday route is the one that isn't getting completed. It's been very good for about 3 weeks right now. But to put that back on Friday would give us that little extra space. I don't want to see the guys out there for more that are picking up in town in more than 10 hours, much less 12. It's dangerous. We don't want them out after dark. So if anybody has any questions about that.
Ward 3, you would be the main, isn't, huh?
Most of my complaints are coming from Wayland, Lori, Crone, in that area.
That's the end of Thursday's route.
Right,
And I want that to go away.
we do too.
That route, without Logan's Lake and Rankin Hill, that route is 3 o'clock, 3:30. That way, if there is a miss, we can easily go back. But both Justin's cell number and my cell number's on there, so if you think of something that might not work, let me know. But
Does anyone see any problem with this expanding to Friday? I think it sounds like a,
it's a solution
It's
that
a
they need to
solution.
do it.
yeah, make the route smaller. You know?
How much notice would you give those individuals?
I was shooting for October 1st, but that seems a little unrealistic today. I'd run it on the radio for a couple weeks, and then we'd distribute flyers the week before, so I'd need about 3 weeks, I think. We just go door to door with flyers, little hanging flyers.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Yep.
I see where this Caitlin Clark is part-time. What are her hours?
Justin? 1 to 5. Thank you.
1 to 5, Monday through Friday? Thank you.
Gives you the time of day when you know what's missed and what's going good. And
Dan, I have a question.
yeah.
I know you have a Tuesday pickup in there, like around Hilldale, Lakeside, even part of Ashley. So will that continue to stay Tuesday pickup?
Yes. There's just a turnaround point after we do Smith Street. We'll come back the other way and hit your neighborhood. But it'll be a lot earlier. So,
Any other questions? A lot of people are concerned that there's only one person on a truck.
side loaders are, I don't know if you ever see Ricky out there. One of the reasons I want to cut the route a little bit is we use a side loader because it's he's got about a half a foot to the ground, and he's only walking about 4 or 5 feet. Side loaders are made for one guy. So
They
gotta tip
remember the
around
old
as well.
days. They remember the old days when there were,
Oh, yeah.
One guy
Rear
that
loaders,
drove
one
and
guy
one
driving,
guy-
2 guys
yeah.
on the back. And a lot of my third parties still do that,
uh-huh,
but I know what those guys are making on the back, and it's
Okay.
not enough to, keep your family.
okay. That's good to hear. Okay,
Enough of me?
Thank you, Dan.
Anytime. Everybody's got my numbers, so
Okay.
it's not
Good
at
luck.
9 o'clock at night.
Good luck to you, Justin.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Any other public comments at this time? Hearing none, we'll move along to approval of the minutes of the September 8th council meeting. You've had those in your packet over the weekend. Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, they will stand as presented. Consent items, we have none this evening. Presentation of accounts and claims. Teresa, when you're ready.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the council of the city of Boonville as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the city of Boonville which have been allowed by the council at the regular meeting thereof on September 21st, 2015, the sum of $446,762.23. General Fund, $156,720.54. Sanitation, $5,395.77. CIP tax, $25,481.17. Waterworks, $25,041.84. Capital projects, $36,908.95. Wastewater, $70,717.86. Tourism, $12,772.58. Gaming, $113,723.52. Parks and Water, $0.00. Section 2, the bookkeeper is hereby authorized and instructed to draw the checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $446,762.23, being a total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be in force from and after its passage. First reading on September 21st, 2015. Read for the second time this 21st day of September 2015, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mark,
Mayor, I move we approve this ordinance.
do I hear a second? Vanessa? Questions? Roll call.
Stock.
Here.
Evans.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Hurt.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Ehlers.
Yes.
Dorman.
Yes.
Okay, unfinished business. Item A, second reading of bill number 2015-027, requesting voluntary annexation and zoning of June Raymer property at 17923 Stewart Drive.
An ordinance of the city of Boonville, Missouri, annexing certain contiguous territory owned by June A. Raymer of 17923 Stewart Drive into the city of Boonville, Missouri, zoning the property as R1 residential district, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
I would entertain a motion to, you want to have, did you want to say a few things first?
I think I'm supposed to review the process that the statute sets out for voluntary annexation. Under the general category, is it fairly debatable that the proposed annexation of the property containing one lot, in this case, is reasonable and necessary to the proper development of the city? There are about 12 factors that are set forth in the statute, I believe, and so I'm going to go through those in most cases fairly rapidly, because given that it's one lot that's already developed, the applicability of these factors is probably limited, but we'll do that, and you can use that as a basis for your decision making. Number one, Boonville has a need for residential, commercial, and/or recreational sites within the area proposed to be annexed. Obviously, it's already developed, so there's not going to be anything new added, and its use is already established. So it probably doesn't have much impact, if any, there. Boonville is unable to meet this need without annexing the new area. Again, I don't think it's applicable. The need is reasonably foreseeable versus being visionary. I don't believe that's applicable. Past growth shows future necessity for the annexation and development, since the use is already established and has been in play. And I don't think the growth element has any application either. Likewise, spillover with the proposed area. The proposed area, surrounding area at least, part of it's already in, and the other part is already established, I think primarily as R1 also. So I don't see any application there. Number 6, beneficial effect of the uniform application and enforcement of municipal zoning ordinances. The Planning and Zoning Commission did consider this prior to this meeting and recommended the R1 category, which is consistent with the established use, so it will ensure that that use remains and thus stays consistent with the general area. Beneficial effect and need for the uniform application and enforcement of municipal building, plumbing, and electrical codes. Those codes primarily come into play on initial construction or some sort of major remodeling, so the impact of that is probably limited, if any, here. Beneficial effect of and need for extending city police protection to the newly annexed area. That would become applicable from the police department. I'm not aware of any significant crime or other types of issues that necessitate police service in the area, but it would be available. Beneficial effect of and need for the uniform application and enforcement of municipal health ordinances. This is particularly on the sewer service issue, which the applicants have spoken to as their main desire in bringing this forward. So that would obviously make a beneficial impact to the area, the overall community, if that came to pass. Boonville's need and ability to extend essential municipal services to the newly annexed area. Again, EML maybe in a bit can review the sewer issue. I think it's generally accurate as was presented earlier. In this case, the street is not part of the annexation, whereas in the last episode, there was a certain element of Stewart Drive, I believe, that did come in the city. Frankly, its condition in front of this property is not good, but it's not in the city now, and that probably presents some potential issues down the road as far as being in the city, but having a less than decent quality access in front of your property. So that's a judgment for you to make. The enhancement of land value by reason of adaptability to uses by and for the city. Again, I don't think there's anything of any magnitude there. Improves the regularities of Boonville's boundaries. I don't think that's probably going to be improved or decreased in this particular case. So those are the 12 issues. I guess I just feel it's worth mentioning one thing. I did a sort of a drive-by over the weekend, and it there's some sort of lack of a word, a pile or some kind of debris sitting near the garages, which looks to me like should be cleaned up. Frankly, if it was in the city, it probably mirrored a nuisance letter today. So.
Okay. Any questions for Earl? ML, did you have some things to add?
The water service won't change. They'll remain a consolidated public water supply district #1 customer, so there's no change on their water service. Sewer service was extended up to what then was the city limits, would be the Lloyd Raymer property line. It's a 2-inch force main, and it was extended with the intention of accommodating 3 pieces of property: the Lloyd property, the Raymer property, and another property on the corner of Logan's Lake Road and Stewart Drive. For all practical purposes, there's no effort or expense on our part. Just like any other new sewer connection or a sewer service line renewal at an existing structure, it's the property owner's responsibility to excavate that and bring it out to us. Because it is a force main, the Raymer property will have to have a grinder pump, but that was anticipated when that line was extended. Those properties, the way they set, they couldn't gravity flow anyway, because they then flow into a force main out on Logan's Lake Road down to Ashley. So a grinder pump's always been their only option at that property.
They put in the grinder pump.
That it would be theirs. It would be everything that the Ramers are looking to improve or fix is just like any other property owner's sewer service connection. So there's no expense. The only other possible effort on our part was we'll be out there because it is a force main. It's not a typical kind of sewer plumbing connection. But that's, we do, between Steve and I, we do, not me, but Steve and our department, we do plumbing connections all the time. Plumbing connection inspections all the time.
Any questions for Mo?
And it'd be rate, once they're on the sewer system, they would then have a sewer bill from us.
Oh, what about the street fixing? That be a future expense?
Well, like Earl said, the Stewart Drive immediately in front of Raymer property is still a county road. So, yes, it needs to be fixed. Some years ago, we, maybe 3 or 4, we extended a chip and seal down there a little bit to buy it, just a bit of time. But no, we don't have any plans, and we won't have any plans to fix that until it's probably our street or annexed or however that's resolved.
But the street's not included in this annexation.
No, it's just the Raymer property. The street is not included in this annexation. So there's going to be the width of Stewart Drive, 20 some odd feet, and then the depth of the Raymer property, 130, 100 and something feet, that there's not a city-maintained street in front of.
Okay.
So how do you determine their sewer bill? Isn't that according to their water bill?
Yeah, what we do, we have other customers exactly like that. And what we do is we read the county's water, the water district's meters. And then if there is a bill issue, we send a letter to the water district, and they shut the water off for us. And we have several customers in that exact same situation. In fact, eventually, the customers out the Highway 87 corridor is going to be in the same situation.
I misspoke earlier when I called for a motion. This is going up for a third reading, so it will be continued at the next meeting. So you'll have a little time to do a little more research on this. Any further questions?
Can we ask that the property cleaned up or?
Not until it's in the city limits.
You can ask.
Well, Earl says we can ask.
She has a comment.
Oh,
I was just gonna say, we've been in the process of trying to clean the back, so we've been moving stuff up to the front to make it easier to get to so that we can haul it off to the dump. And that's why it's there. We've got a combination of stuff to go to the dump and a combination of stuff to go to the trash pile, or the waste pile. So that's why it's all right there, just to make it easier for us to get the trailer to. So we can have it cleaned up by the next meeting at the latest, probably next weekend. So.
great. Okay. Any more questions? So that'll be up for the third and final reading at the next regular council meeting. Item B, second reading of bill number 2015-029, changing rates for a state-mandated user fee to be charged for wastewater service.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, amending the Code of General Ordinances, Section 21-148D7B, changing rates for a state-mandated user fee to be charged for wastewater service, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Ned?
I move we approve this Bill?
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Becky's had her hand up twice now, so. You
Go.
know how I am about people that raise their hands, Becky.
I have to raise mine higher then. I just went like this.
Okay. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Stock,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Ayers.
Yes.
Dorman.
Yes.
Item C, discussion on 911 Porter Street property from dangerous building hearing held on February 17th, 2015. Who wants to start this off? Steve? Earl?
I'll go ahead and kick it off.
Okay,
We
thank you.
just went in and put it back on the agenda. As you know, this went through dangerous building some months ago. There was a period of time given. The owner and some of his representatives or family came back, and you gave him another extension. That time, I believe, is now passed also, and we're still not where we need to be, and so we continue to consider the matter. Is it a bomb? Yeah. I think Steve has some pictures and a report in on your packet on page 20 and thereafter.
Question?
Becky?
And Steve can probably, how recent are these pictures?
Last week.
Last week? Thank you.
Ned?
Earl, by Steve designating the building as property maintenance, where does that put the council with regard to what we've asked?
Well, I mean, you don't have to accept Steve's recommendation, obviously, so.
So that puts Steve and the owner working together to get these last items done, and the council's now out?
Probably would.
So it looks to me as if the decision's already made.
Well, I don't know, as I wrote to you, there's no great solution here, but the progress has been frankly, it's been poor. And we need to do a lot better than this if we're going to make any impact around town, so.
Okay, so Steve enforces it as a property maintenance issue, and if he gets a lack of cooperation, then he takes it to the city attorney.
Typically would go there.
And the
yes.
city attorney would
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
take it to court. Okay, so things are already rolling, aren't they?
Why don't you listen, see what the
No.
property owner's got to say.
Okay. Do the property owners who came forward, do you have anything you would like to say, or? Could you come up to the speaker so we can all hear you? And introduce yourself. I think we all probably remember you, but we've got a couple of new councilmen.
Hello, my name's Morgan Weaver, and I've been working on that property over there on Porter Street. A lot of the progress that you can't see, I did 2 weeks worth of sewer repair, which I took a bunch of pictures of, and backfill and whole 9 yards. Big chunk of time, big chunk of money as far as that goes. Excavating the lower driveway. And then, last week had another guy come through, take another 2,800 pounds of metal that was found, miscellaneous on that lot out of there. And I got a fresh batch of a bunch of pictures. But there's no debris in the yard and whatnot. Tried to have any material I have stored stacked. I went and took pictures of that, so it's, stacked and on a pallet and not in miscellaneous piles. But
What's your goal with this house?
I was gonna just completely redo it and
I
live
mean,
there.
is someone going to live there eventually, or
I
what's
was
your goal?
myself.
Uh-huh. But it's obvious no one lives there now.
No, I live there.
You live there now.
The month of August, I went ahead and did 6 rooms of drywall and roughed in all the plumbing, all that good stuff. So it's functional.
Okay.
I mean, it has,
And that's
New
your
electric-
full-time legal residence?
yeah,
Okay. You're paying a water bill and all that stuff there?
yeah, and I made sure the taxes were taken care of, water bills. Oh, they had an issue when it was his account switched over to mine, and they did his account by mistake. But we got that set up and changed, and hopefully it'll be taken care of from there. It's automatically done.
Mark, did you have a question?
I did. Do you know when your extension expired?
I cannot tell you.
Okay. Do you know when the first one expired?
As far as date-wise, I'd have to go back and look at a piece of paper,
Okay.
you know, to be accurate with you.
That's the only question I have for him.
And when this process started, y'all took pictures, and that was like the same day. I went in, looked at it, and decided if we were going to try to tear it down or try to fix it or what we were going to do with it, you know, and until, February or whatnot, whenever we got letters from you, you know, we started it just on my own accord. I mean, it's not something that I'm just doing because y'all are trying to push me to do. It's something that we actually found feasible that I was, you know, planned on doing to begin with. You know, as far as progress, you know, I think all the time, well, you could have got a little more done, you should have a little more, this more done. You know, I try to do at least 40 hours a week on it, you know, minimum. And sometimes stuff takes longer, you know, you run into areas that are worse, you know, and you can't just go ahead and throw the siding over top of it. You got to go ahead and actually fix the structural part of it and whatnot, because you really want something done right. But, I mean, getting rid of the squatters and the trailer that was there, I mean, that could have took a year just legally trying to get the people off the land, you know? And I know it's coming up on a year since I started the process, but, you know, it's still moving along.
I have a question for Steve. Hey, whatever, it's through writing. Can you give us an overview of what you think the most pressing things are that need to be done to the exterior? And could we come up with a plan? Earl mentioned something about a more detailed work plan where we could say, you know, okay, this needs to be done, you know, can you get this done by this date, and this needs to be done by that date, whatever those particularly bothersome issues are on the exterior.
Oh, yeah, and, you know, I'd be fine with that. I got almost 40 hours worth of siding on this weekend.
I
You know,
believe the
so
question is for
multiple
Steve
sides.
Haig. Is that correct? Was it a question for Steve Haig?
In my recent photos that I took last week, and I believe I took those on Wednesday,
Steve, could you either speak in the microphone or come get this one?
I took my photos last Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember right off the bat. But when you look at the photos that I've presented to you in this report, siding is still incomplete. There's a area of the gable end that's still open. Gutters are incomplete. Hidden gutters have not been repaired. There's still a lot of rot and decay. Those are still incomplete. My photos also show from last week. I haven't been by there today. There's an open gate into the backyard. You can still see piles of trash. Credit given to him. The loads of trash that has been taken out of there has been tremendous. The only thing that I can't figure out, and maybe this is not my business to figure out, every time I looked at this property before the cleanup started, every time I go by, there is a truckload and a trailer load of trash. Where is all this trash coming from? It seems like it never ends. Okay, but still, in the end, progress has been made on that. Progress could be made even better. The other thing, you know, more than anything to get this thing dressed up, get the outside done, get the gutters fixed, get all the rot and decay in the soffits and the fascia, get that gable end closed up, get the yard seeded and planted, make it look decent from the outside. Whatever happens to the inside, you know, that, I know inside work takes time. That's where most of your work is usually involved, with the plumbing, the electrical, the cabinetry, the trim, it goes on and on. So ultimately, in the end, I feel like, you know, I don't know, it's up to you guys to give him another extension, or do we move this into a property maintenance and give him another however many days, and then it can move on out of our hands.
If it goes into a property maintenance issue, excuse me, how much time does he have?
There again, you know, it needs to be a reasonable amount of time. You know, I've been around this industry long enough knowing and looking, and when somebody's working a full-time job and trying to do this, his 60-day that he asked for originally, I knew it wasn't reasonable. After that 60 days was over and he come back and asked for 120, in my mind, I still knew it wasn't reasonable. I don't know, you know, that we give him another 120, given the progress that he has made, but still, ultimately, in the end, the progress needs to be better than what it has been, in my opinion. So,
Susan?
What's a reasonable expectation for the exterior?
personally, myself, reasonably to finish the exterior, if he got on it and got it completed, 60 days. I mean, he's made a lot of progress to it, but the times that I drive by it, it seems like the progress comes in spurts, and then it looks like nothing happens. And then you'll go by 3 or 4 weeks later, and you can see where a little more siding has maybe been put on, and then it stops. So
I feel like I appreciate everything you've done, but in so many of these cases, it seems like folks do just enough to get by so they stay out of trouble, but they're really not ever going to get it done. So, I mean, why didn't you finish the outside instead of moving to the inside when you knew that you needed to get it sided and change the fascia and soffit and do those things that are rotten and that are a maintenance issue or a public nuisance?
Well, I did. Unfortunately, since siding's easy and simple, I was going to subcontract it out to this kid. Not kid, he's in, I don't know, mid-30s, whatever. Had issues with that. Another guy, supposedly, the best worker, worked for an hour and a half, stole a couple tools and left. And, I've got his money in an envelope if he comes back for it. I really wish he would have just showed up. It's hard to get somebody to show up and do anything. And then you wait a couple days for him to come back, and, that's just wasted time. And so, and that's kind of the deal with the siding issue, because it is just simple nail-on-click stuff. I figured I'd get somebody to do it. Another gentleman this evening approached me riding his bike up there, asking for work or whatnot. An individual from in town, Jody something, said he used to be a fireman. I think I'm going to have him do a chunk of it, hopefully. But we'll see how it goes. And in the meantime, I'll do it full time and not mess with anything else.
Becky?
I have a question for Steve. In your report, the last paragraph, you indicate, I think it is close enough to get out. But in your professional opinion, is this still a dangerous building?
no. And the reason I say that is because in a week's time, 1 week's time, in my opinion, he could finish the outside doing what needs to be done. If he has the capabilities or hires somebody that has the capabilities, like he said, siding is not rocket science. So it's one of those items that he just needs to get on it himself, or he needs to hire somebody to get on it himself, and it could be done in a week's time. The siding could be done. That gable end could be closed up. All the soffit and fascia could be repaired, repainted. The gable end could be closed in, sided. So
Because the weather right now is conducive to outdoor work.
Oh, it's
If this
beautiful,
drags
yeah.
on too much longer, then we're going to be into
Oh, no,
bad
it
weather,
can't
and you're not going to be
really
able to
go
do
on.
outdoor work.
Be right in here pretty soon.
I don't know, I've driven by it several times. I kind of monitor it occasionally, and no offense, Morgan, but I can't see much progress on the outside, other than you have cleaned up a lot of it. You know, the trash and going through that sort of stuff.
But I've got all the gutter
I know, and
soffit
we
material
hear,
on site.
we've heard this 60
ready to
days
go.
ago, we heard it 120 days ago. I understand, you're a person that has a job and a life and just trying to make it in the world. But we're dealing with a building which is not meeting our codes in a lot of ways.
And it's it's turning the corner. You know, it was ugly, and now it's looking better. I just got trim up on that outside end and whatnot this evening before I came. It's not really
Well,
that many hours away from being sited.
It's up to the council, but I've been through this before and I know how this goes. Mark?
Mayor, I guess I would move that he has missed every deadline we've given him, and it's time to invoke the dangerous building and have it demolished.
I have put too much money into that for this to happen.
There's a
And I would
motion.
make that in the
All
form
right.
of a motion.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second? This is a second on moving this into a dangerous building for demolition.
If nothing else, please
I
look at my
second
pictures
it.
from today.
All right, Kari
I
is
second it.
seconding it.
And the pictures from today are completely, there's so much more, so many squares of siding put on that are different.
Okay.
And the yard work looks, yeah, the yard will be seeded and there will be plants.
Okay, let's go into a question period. If you have questions for the owners, but this will be going to a vote here shortly. Questions, comments?
Here,
Yes, Henry?
I just think you got the cart before the horse on this thing, because, you know, if you went in and did 6 rooms of sheet rocking, with this opening up here, we get a good rain, and that's all gonna be for naught. You know, it's
Well,
like
there's
you,
also some blown insulation in there.
insulation won't help the.
No, blown
the rain.
insulation on top of the ceiling space, that when I had it open for access.
Okay,
it
this
comes
is,
down to that, I can
Mr.
just-
Weaver, this is not a debate period. So
No,
this
no,
is just,
it's
let's
not a
let him
debate.
make his comment, and then if you would like to make a comment, that's fine. Henry, go ahead and finish your statement.
That was basically it. It looks like you do the outside before you go in and start working on the inside.
Any other comments?
Did you buy this house?
I'm
Like
buying for
this?
my father, yes.
So it got to be this bad off.
It's set for the last like 15 years and had different people in and out of it. And I shouldn't have waited trying to subcontract siding for the people to come back. I should just try to replace them one after another. And if it's just an issue of the exterior, if it's that close to being, you know, done away with, I'll just contact somebody reputable, a Sinclair or something, and bring one of them in, and we'll just be done with it. But
Any other questions or comments? Well, are we ready to make a decision on this, or do we want to try to defer this for a couple of weeks and give him one last opportunity? Or, I'm seeing everyone's maybe not too comfortable with this whole thing, so.
May I interrupt?
No, you may not.
Okay, I will not.
Thank you. Ned?
We're faced with a really tough situation, and I think we all realize that. You know, the example we set here with the Weavers is the example we set for the future. We've given him 2 extensions. He's made progress. He's sunk money into it. So our decision is, do we, because if we no vote on Mark's motion, that means we're essentially turning it over to them and Steve. This is really tough, because we're talking about tomorrow, we're not talking about today, and whatever we say today becomes the rule for tomorrow. And this is really disappointing. I mean, we're stuck in a situation where we've given you the time. We've allowed you the extra to get it done. We want it. There's not a person sitting in the room that doesn't want this building to be the way it should be. But what we don't have is we don't have performance to the criteria that we've set up. This is a tough one. I'm probably, from Mark, I appreciate you doing this, because it just puts us all on notice that this is the kind of decision we should be making as a council. I'm much more prone, because of the amount of work that's been done on the building, to give it some time. But I'm like Henry. I mean, why in God's name would you not take care of the exterior first? I mean, all of us, you don't get to talk. This is our turn. All of us are sitting here. What do we see when you do your drive-by, Julie, or I do mine? What do we see? We see the trash. We see the trees. We see the building, and it just looks awful, right?
Right.
That's why we got into this in the beginning. So I'm pretty dang close to doing what Mark wanted to do. I'm not sure I'm going to do it tonight. You might be better to put it off for another 2 weeks, and I might do it then. But if we were ever say, just let this thing go for another year, look what the example we've set for anybody else.
Exactly. Other comments? Mark?
One last comment. Those of us that have been on the council have been through this multiple times, and I believe the most recent one, there was a couple that didn't want to go forward with extensions because it happens time and time again. And maybe that's our fault for giving the 60-day and the 120-day and moving on, but my personal opinion is that I have no confidence that even in 60 days it will get completed. If somebody wanted to put up a sizable bond that would cover the demolition of it, then I'd be willing to, consider that. But I would suspect that there's not going to be a $10,000 or $20,000 bond put up in performance. So, I just have no confidence that it's going to get done. It hadn't met any other deadline. And, a promise is a promise, and that's all we're going to get is a promise.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Stock.
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Meadows.
No.
Beach.
No.
Hurt.
No.
Livingston.
Yes.
Ehlers.
Yes.
Dorman.
No.
As always.
4-4.
4
Congratulations.
to 4, it's a tie. I vote yes. Okay, so do you understand what we've done and?
No, I need you to go ahead and let's go through that.
Okay.
Just so we're 100%.
Well, why don't we do that either after the meeting, or you can call City Hall tomorrow. I don't think do we want to go through all that? Do we have time to? Can you encapsulate it? Okay, go ahead. Earl?
Well, read the motion back, Teresa.
All deadlines have been missed, therefore move it to the dangerous buildings and have it demolished.
Well, I take that as I'm going to instruct Steve to solicit bids on it tomorrow and award the bid that comes in, because I'm sure it'll be under $30,000.
Okay? Do you understand?
I can't hardly have that happen. I put the last bit of my money in it, you know, my last couple $1,000s. I've got the materials ready to go. I'm sorry that I waited on a couple of local individuals that were supposed to do something. You know, I can't say, oh, he didn't show up today, you know, and assume he's never going to come back and just get right back with it, you know, sometimes. I can have it done in a week and a half, a week.
I think
I
the decision-
cannot lose that place.
The
It's my
decision-
home, it's all I have,
The
and
decision-
that is it. I mean,
The decision has been made, and the
we're
microphone
going
is
to talk to a
closed.
lawyer or something. This can't happen. I won't leave that place.
Yeah, through the judgment.
I won't leave it. I will die with a hammer in my hand fixing it. And that is it, no matter what.
Okay, we'll move along to new business. First reading of bill number 2015-028, authorizing renewal of professional service agreement between the City of Boonville and Alliance Water Resources, Inc.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing renewal of the professional services agreement for the management,
I guess we're done.
operations, and maintenance of the water treatment plant by and between the City of Boonville, Missouri and Alliance Water Resources Incorporated, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Thank you, Teresa. Reports of standing committees. Housing Authority, Mark?
I was unable to attend that meeting, so you know as much as I do from the minutes.
Hey, I thought it was interesting. I read the minutes. I don't know if everybody reads them real closely. Under miscellaneous, the Antiques Roadshow film crew was here in Boonville last fall to film Boonville Housing Authority commissioners who are featured in national training curriculum videos. How cool is that?
That is
Yeah.
cool.
So, learn all kinds of things reading that. Okay, Historic Preservation Board, Susan?
That meeting was canceled due to lack of agenda items.
Okay, reports of city officials. City Administrator, Earl, do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
Mayor, I have nothing. Well, I will say this is Megan's absolute final. There will be no more appearances by Megan. She did us a favor and came back for this meeting and the planning and zone meeting that was held before this, so we thank her for doing that.
I have prepared a summary of all the outstanding pending issues, which I will file with Earl. So if any of you all have any questions about any of the issues outstanding, I promised I'd do a report. It's basically summarizing where we stand with each one of the departments and any outstanding issues. I consider it a confidential report in terms of status of any legal issues. So it'll be on file with Earl if any of you all want to look at it or review it or question where we are with a particular issue. So it's a 3-page long. It's not, but it's in pretty good detail, and it kind of reminds everybody in each one of the departments what we've got pending. So when somebody comes and fills my position, they will already have a list of to-do items when they start their new job.
Okay. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Economic Development, Dr. Jim Gannon is here.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'll direct your attention to page 38 of your packet. Because of a scheduling issue, your last meeting was on a Tuesday, and I had a conflict. This is 2 months' worth of reports, and the most recent is the September 17th report on page 38. I'll direct your attention to a couple things. This has been a very, very busy month. Under item 2 there, attraction activities, I've had a very busy month responding to requests for information regarding projects, and these are of a statewide nature. There's even an additional one that is not on your list, Project Horizon, and several of these have been very complex questions regarding our water and wastewater treatment capabilities that have taken some significant staff time as well as engineer staff time, and ultimately we decided that we were not viable candidates, but that took a lot of work to figure that out. But anyway, those demonstrate a high degree of activity which continues to now. I'll also direct your attention to item 6, certified work-ready community. We continue to push that forward. We are now actually at 85% of goal. We have till the end of the year to reach 100%, so we are working on that. Locally sourced projects, item 7. I'll make note that an item that is not on your list is what I'll call Project Bed 2. We have another organization that we're working with that is substantially similar to Project Bed. So that continues to move forward. And then there is a new project on the list, item E on page 39, that is in process. We expect a formal announcement after January 1st. So that should be very good news. Just prior to page 38, on page 37, I've reported to you several months now that the Industrial Development Authority, the County Commission, or members of the County Commission, we're working on kind of a comprehensive plan for incentives. That work continues. One tool in that toolbox is the Enhanced Enterprise Zone. And I may have done this previously, but this is a map of the area that is eligible for that program. I just wanted you to be aware of that's the areas in which we will be discussing. What we're working on as a matter of public policy is we're operating on parallel tracks. One is what are all the legal things that have to happen, and then what are all the recommended levels of incentives and programs that are used together. The IDA is working on a recommendation for you in that regard, and because this proposed zone overlaps areas outside the city limits, the commissioners are taking the lead in the legal side of things, although Megan gave us a great head start before she bolted on us here. But anyway, I want to let you know that that work continues, and our intent is to bring you a kind of a package for you to respond to. So that's our intent. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. City Clerk, Teresa, do you have anything?
I have nothing.
Okay. Miscellaneous.
Mayor,
Susan?
I had the opportunity to attend the barbecue at the Boonslick Railroad. It was very nice, and those folks seemed very appreciative. And
Good.
I'm sorry to tell you that.
I'm glad you could go.
I'm glad too.
We
Any
saw
other-
somebody there we knew.
Any other miscellaneous? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're out of here.
Courage, Baylor.